It is actually impossible for your SP manifestation to fail. I know that this statement might sound a little too good to be true, especially if you've been on your manifesting journey of your SP for a while. I'm sure, however, that you have heard it in the manifesting community, and you have heard it for a reason. The reason is that it is actually true. And I'm here today making this video for this exact reason, to tell you why it is true. We're going to begin this video by explaining what are some common misconceptions that can lead people to believe that they're actually failing in their manifesting journey, in their manifestation of their specific person, of their SP. And I'm going to show you exactly why these are just that. They are just misconceptions. I'm also going to show you how you can reframe these misconceptions so that you stop perceiving them as failures and that you can start perceiving them for what they truly are, which are just bridges to your journey of manifesting your SP. Then in the second part of this video, I'm going to show you how you can realign your energy to keep building momentum in your SP manifestation journey, to keep creating movement, to keep creating positive outcomes so that you never again feel like a failure and that you never again fear that you may fail in your manifesting journey of your SP. Before I begin, hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and stick around. Also, if you need help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. I also have some self-study courses about manifesting your specific person. And I do have a members-only channel with a lot of perks for members, including weekly live workshops with a different manifesting topic each week, weekly live group coaching, a lot of exclusive content, monthly challenges for a chance to win a free one-on-one coaching session with me, and a lot more. So if you're interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website or to the membership channel. With all that being said, let's dive into today's video. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, a lot of people might be fearing that they can be failing in their manifestation of their SP. They might be feeling that things are not moving. They might be feeling that there is not much change in the 3D to show for. They might be feeling even that they are seeing things that are opposite to what they want. And so they brand and they label all of that as I'm failing in my manifesting journey. Even if none of that is present, I'm going to acknowledge that there is a certain fear when you're manifesting your SP, when you are on this journey, that this could fail. This could be a waste of my time. Maybe I'm not a good manifester. Maybe this law is not true after all. Or maybe it is true, but it's not working for me, or I cannot make it work in my favor. There are all these thoughts, there are all these assumptions, there are all these fears that are plaguing people in their journey of manifesting their SP. And very often, these are fed by certain misconceptions. One of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to manifesting your SP is that they need to manifest within a certain timeline. I mean, obviously, we all have a preference for our manifestations to come sooner rather than later. I get that. That is true of all of us. However, buying into the narrative that you need to manifest your SP within a certain timeline, that if it's been, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, and they still haven't manifested, that means you are failing. This, you guys, could not be further from the truth. And it's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have to struggle with when they're manifesting their SP. The reason why it's a big misconception is because your 3D reality always shapes itself, molds itself, and unfolds and conforms to whatever it is that you dominantly are within. Your 3D is molding itself in accordance to what you are dominantly holding within as true. That, as I'm sure you have observed, especially those of you who have been on the manifesting journey of your SP for quite a while, that can change and can vary day to day and sometimes even moment to moment. Our dominant inner states, our dominant inner energies, what we are most dominantly transmitting towards our SP, through our thoughts, through our assumptions, through our beliefs, through our fears even, can and does actually change a lot. Especially as you are moving forward in your manifesting journey, you probably noticed that you are not the same person you were when you started manifesting your SP. That means that who you were dominantly within 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, when you started manifesting your SP, is not who you are right now. Chances are, within this journey, within the course of this journey, you have changed for the better. You have grown. You have learned to master a lot of your thoughts and a lot of your emotions, if not fully, at least to an extent that is much more improved to what you used to be, to what you used to experience. You have learned to redirect your thinking. You have learned to redirect your outlook of yourself, of the world. Perhaps you have worked on your self-concept. In other words, you're a very different person now than who you were maybe even a month ago. And so this is why you cannot take the time that may have elapsed, if a lot of time has elapsed, between when you started manifesting your SP and now as a continuum and as evidence and proof that if by now you're not seeing a lot of movement, if by now you don't have your manifestation, something must be wrong, you must be failing, you must not be doing something right, and so on and so forth. The truth, you guys, is that probably for the first, I don't know how long of your journey, the first few months even of your journey, that's not uncommon, you were not actually manifesting your SP at all. Chances are, the first while of your journey, and of course that's going to vary from person to person, you were probably still manifesting the old story. You were probably keeping the old story still in place, with your dwelling on it, with you thinking about the circumstances, spiraling over the circumstances, spiraling over the old story, spiraling over what the current 3D is showing. And so that, as you can imagine, is not actually manifesting what you wanted to see in your 3D. Instead, it was manifesting keeping the old story in place. And that is true for the vast majority of people who go on a manifesting journey of their specific person. The first while is, I'm not going to say it's wasted time, because it's not. Time is never wasted, but it's time that is spent learning, manifesting, learning to control your feelings, learning to control your emotions, learning to control your thoughts, learning to reframe and redirect circumstances and thoughts and assumptions, learning to reprogram your beliefs. You have a lot of things to learn, in other words, when you're first starting on your manifesting journey of your SP. And so the first while, which again can be different for everyone, is probably going to be spent with you learning about these things. It's not going to be you being a master manifestor, being in the state of the wish fulfilled, living from the end, being in the Sabbath state, and so on. That, whether we like it or not, tends to come later. And it tends to come as you go along in your manifesting journey. It tends to come as you grow as a manifestor, as you evolve as a person and as a conscious manifestor. And so this is why a lot of the time it seems like things are taking a long time. Chances are that for the first several months even of your SP manifestation, you were not manifesting your SP at all. So the time, if you want to be keeping a timeline, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you absolutely have to keep a timeline, you want to reset that clock in your mind and start keeping that timeline from the time when you actually shifted within yourself in a sustained way and you started feeling most dominantly that yes, you and your SP are going to be together. Yes, your SP is yours. Yes, you're coming back together. Whatever applies in each and every situation. And so this is why, you guys, time, while it's a very demotivating factor for people. People get very intimidated when they think about time in manifesting their SP. It's actually a big misconception. It's a big misconception of failure because really, from the moment when you actually shift and when that shift actually becomes sustained, it doesn't usually take all that long. But the amount of time it takes from the moment you actually start on your journey until the time you realize that inner shift, you guys, that can actually take a long time, even in 3D terms. And so if you're feeling or fearing that you might be failing in your manifestation of your SP because it's been a long time, however each one of you defines a long time, think again. Because really and truly, the time starts counting from the moment you realize that internal shift and from the moment that internal shift becomes dominant within you, and whether we like it or not a moment before. Now, the other big misconception that a lot of people hold when they are on their manifesting journey of their SP is what they perceive as opposing circumstances or things that might pop up in the 3D that you weren't expecting, that you see as negative or you see as opposing to your manifestation. And you might be labeling that as, I'm failing. My manifestation is not working. My manifestation is not coming the way that I was hoping or the way that I was expecting. And so this is another factor that tends to keep people stuck and tends to make them feel demotivated. Why am I even doing this? Is this even working? Is this ever going to work? Are things ever going to change between me and my SP? Am I ever going to have my SP? The truth and the reality, you guys, is in the definition, in your definition of what constitutes a failure in your manifestation. First of all, the thing that I want to remind you of is that nothing is a failure and nothing is final unless you decide that it is, unless you assume that it is, and unless you treat it as something final. So you have a choice, realize that, you have a choice here of not accepting anything that you don't like as final, and of course, of not labeling it as such. And so we come back to what I was just saying. What are you actually defining as a failure? Are you defining as a failure the fact that something unforeseen came up in the 3D that you weren't expecting, and all of a sudden this is a failure of your manifestation in your mind? Is not seeing much movement or seeing hot and cold movement a sign of failure in your book and in your mind? Is things not changing in the 3D quite as fast as you were hoping a sign of failure for you? So you see then that it all comes back to what you are defining as a failure in your manifestation. If you are fearing that you're failing, if you're feeling that you're failing in your manifestation, you want to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What am I perceiving as failure in my 3D that is making me doubt everything and is making me tell myself the story that, oh, my manifestation is not working, my manifestation is failing. And once you define what it is that you are perceiving as a failure, then you want to start reframing that. That is, if you are serious about continuing on your journey of your SP manifestation. If you really want to be with your SP, if you absolutely want that manifestation, then you want to commit to actually changing the narratives, the stories that you're telling yourself, that you're holding within you, that you're accepting as true for you. So first of all, you want to start by reframing what you're perceiving as your setbacks as redirections. Your setbacks, or your perceived setbacks to be exact, are only feedback showing you what is happening in your 3D as a manifestation of what is happening within you or what was happening within you up until recently. So what you're seeing in the 3D that you don't like, those setbacks, those perceived setbacks, are essentially your feedback on what you need to still work on and what shifts you still need to have within yourself to align more closely with your manifestation. So don't take setbacks, perceived setbacks, I'm going to say perceived again, because they are perceived. Don't take perceived setbacks as setbacks. Take them as redirections. They're not dead ends, you guys. They are not the end all be all. They are not the end of the road. They are just there to show you where you still need to redirect yourself, where you still need to redirect your thoughts, your assumptions, your inner energy, right? Your inner states. That's why they're there. They are pure feedback. They're not there to hurt you. They're not there to harm you. They're not there to hinder your manifestation, even if it might feel like that. They are there to teach you. They're there to show you where you need to still redirect and shift and readjust so that they can keep you going. They can keep you being successful in your manifestation and building momentum. So the first thing you want to do is any perceived setbacks, you just see them as redirections, not dead ends. And in that same spirit, anything and everything that might seem like a no in your manifestation, remember Neville Goddard's brazen impudence, his concept of brazen impudence. You don't take no as an answer. So you're going to stop taking no for an answer. And every no that you hear, every proverbial no, everything and anything that might seem like, okay, this is a block, this is stopping my manifestation, you are going to stop taking it as final, and you are going to stop taking it as a no, and instead you're going to reframe it in your mind as a not yet. It's not a no, it's a not yet. There is a big difference between taking something as a no, this is denied to me, this is forbidden for me, this is not given to me, versus perceiving it as a not yet. It hasn't come yet, it hasn't happened yet, but it's on its way of happening. It's on its way of coming to me. There's a very big difference between the two, and the difference is a complete mindset shift. It's all about mindset. It's all about reframing what you see in your 3D and how you're perceiving it from something that is very negative and very unfavorable and very opposed to what you want to something that is actually favorable, something that is helping you, something that is supporting you in your manifestation, and something that is your support and your ally as opposed to your enemy. So you want to start realigning yourself and your consciousness from perceiving setbacks and failures and seeing evidence of failure in things that you don't like in your 3D, by seeing everything, starting to train yourself to see everything, even the things that you don't like, even the things that might seem opposed to your manifestation, as part of the bridge of events that are always, no matter what, bringing you closer to your manifestation. They're always bringing your desire closer to you in one way or other. Even something that might look like a setback, something that might look like a big block, remember what we said earlier. It is there to teach you, it is there to show you, and it is there to redirect you. It is there to guide you. So don't fear anything. Don't fear anything that you see in your 3D as, oh my God, this is what happened, and now that means that I can't have my manifestation. No, it is still a part of your bridge of incidents, part of your bridge of events. It is still there to guide you and show you where to go next, and it is there to support you and help you succeed. That, you guys, is a huge mindset shift that if you're able to realize and if you're able to incorporate it in your inner practice, is going to make a huge difference in your inner states, in your whole outlook of the world, your outlook about your manifestations, in how you view things, and your optimism and your hopefulness about your manifestations coming to you, as opposed to you dwelling on the idea of failure, the fear of failure, the fear that I may not get my SP after all, and so on. Now, in addition to viewing everything as part of your bridge of events, as part of the bridge that is still bringing your manifestation closer and closer to you, you also want to cultivate a very strong sense of self-love and self-acceptance, and never, ever, ever let go of your inner growth, of your self-growth, because these are the factors that help you become a stronger manifestor, a more masterful manifestor, and in a lot of cases, in more cases than not actually, they act as accelerants to your SP manifestation. If you have a lot of love and a lot of acceptance towards yourself, guess what happens? Your SP is your mirror. We've said that many times. Your SP is going to mirror that love that you feel for yourself by showing you their love for you. if you're accepting yourself unconditionally, even the parts of you that you might be a little ashamed of or a little not so proud of, your SP is still going to accept you wholly and entirely and fully if you first have accepted yourself and are being authentic and are being genuine. This, by the way, doesn't only go for your SP, it goes for everyone in your reality. But since we're talking about SP in this video, we're going to make it more specific. But it goes for everyone, every person, everyone in your life. When you love yourself, when you accept yourself, and you are committed to your self-growth, that, you guys, shines. People notice that, whether consciously or subconsciously, they will always notice that, and you will see that they will start showing up as different versions of themselves to match that shift that they are feeling from you. And of course, I've said in many videos, and I'm going to repeat it in this video as well, because it bears repeating. It's one of the most important factors that make someone a successful manifestor, a masterful manifestor, is believing in the power of your I am. Self-love, self-acceptance, self-growth, and the power of your I am. At your core, you are unconditioned consciousness. You are I am. You are I am that I am. That means you can be, do, and have whatever you want. You are a limitless being. The faster you believe that, the faster you align with that, the faster you start identifying with that, the faster you are going to see your manifestations coming in, or you're going to see a lot of good movement in the right direction, including in your manifestation of your SP. And of course, when you accept the power of your I am, you quite readily, usually, also accept what I was just saying 2 minutes ago. You take everything as part of the bridge. You take everything as something that is here to direct me or redirect me and to guide me and to support me towards success of my manifestation. You don't take anything as an obstacle. You don't take anything as a hindrance. You don't take anything as a block. You start changing and shifting your outlook of the entire world around you. And of course, your outlook and how you see yourself, how you see your SP, and how you see your relationship with your SP. Now, of course, until your SP manifestation comes to pass, and until your SP manifestation is in your arms, so to speak, chances are that, yes, you might have some perceived setbacks, some seeming setbacks. Of course, we also just explained that these are not real setbacks. These are there to guide you. These are your feedback. These are your teachers and your guides towards the success of your manifestation. So even if you are perceiving them as setbacks, even if at first glance they look like a setback, they really aren't. But how do you actually integrate them into your manifesting practice so that they stop feeling like blocks to you, so that they stop causing you to spiral, so that they stop causing you that fear of failure and that feeling of, this isn't working, what am I doing wrong? Can my manifestation fail? Is it possible that I will not have my SP after all? And all these unpleasant thoughts. So the first thing you want to do when you perceive something that looks like a setback, in order to integrate it so that it becomes part of your support system, it becomes part of your success story as opposed to a block that is stopping you from having your SP, is that you want to start using these oppositions, these seeming setbacks, as your feedback and as your direction, as your guide as to where to go next. Do I need to refine my desire a little bit? Do I need to refine my intentions? Do I need to refine my assumptions? Could it be that I had an assumption that played out in a seeming unfavorable way? Okay, if that is so, how do I redirect that? How do I reshape that? How do I change that assumption so that it stops playing out like that anymore? If I thought I wanted a certain thing or a certain kind of relationship with my SP, but then my 3D is showing me a certain something, right? A certain circumstance. Could it be that I need to refine my desire a little bit? That is not to say that I'm telling you to compromise. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, though, that sometimes we are not necessarily very clear on what we want from our SP or from our relationship with our SP. And then when the 3D shows us certain things, certain circumstances, it might cause us to actually reshape our desire, refine our desire, or at the very least, refine our intentions around our desire. So see if that might be the case when you are encountering certain setbacks, or in simpler words, when the 3D is not showing you what you want. See if that is a sign from your higher self that you need to readjust a little bit. You need to redirect certain things. You need to reshape and to refine certain intentions, certain assumptions, certain beliefs, certain decisions even about what you want from your SP and from your relationship with your SP, and see where that takes you. Now, the other very, very important way in which you want to integrate perceived setbacks or perceived unfavorable outcomes in your 3D is that you want to start seeing them instead of blocks, instead of this is here to stop me, this is here to block my manifestation. No, you want to start seeing them as opportunities to prove to yourself that you have an unlimited and limitless inner creative power, that you are I am, that you can turn things around in your reality and in your 3D if you so choose. So take each seeming setback as an opportunity to prove to yourself that the law of assumption works, that the universal laws and the universal teachings work, that spiritual law works, and most importantly, that it is you who possesses this inner creative power to change things, to reshape things, to shift things, to turn things around, and to bring about a very, very different 3D, a very different set of circumstances, a change of mind, or a change in how your SP is showing up, whatever applies to each one of you. So what I'm saying here, what I'm trying to convey here, is that you want to take anything that is seemingly negative towards your manifestation, any seeming opposition towards your manifestation, as an opportunity for you to prove to yourself that the law works and that your inner creative power is above and beyond anything and everything. And as a matter of fact, this seeming block, this seeming setback came into your path precisely to show you what you can do if you redirect your inner creative power. If you decide that, no, this isn't something I like, this isn't something that I'm willing to accept, so I'm going to decide otherwise. I'm going to choose a different way. I'm going to choose a different outcome. And guess what? Because I have this inner creative power, I'm going to create that different outcome. I'm going to turn things around. Why? Because I can. So this is, you guys, how you build resilience as a manifestor. This is how you build momentum. This is how you recreate yourself into a powerful, masterful manifestor, as opposed to who you were before, someone who felt disempowered, someone who felt like life was happening to them as opposed to life happening through them, someone who felt helpless and hopeless about the 3D. No, now you're claiming your own power, and you are proving this power to yourself through your resilience, through your redirecting of your thoughts and your assumptions and your inner energies, through recreating your reality, through changing your perceptions and the meanings that you give things to your 3D. This is, you guys, where your real power lies. And guess what happens soon after? Your 3D starts changing and reshaping and rearranging itself to conform to this new identity of yours. And a few more points that I wanted to make, because you really want to start moving from being someone who is trying to manifest their SP and fearing that they might be failing, they might not be doing things right, maybe things are not working for them, to someone who is unstoppable in your manifestation journey, someone who is guaranteed and promised to have your SP because you said so, because you decided so. You want to always keep in mind that manifestation is always an ongoing journey. It's not a one-off thing. It's not something that you do to get something. It's you learning to be the person who has their manifestation. It's you learning to be the energy that is aligned with your manifestation. That does happen with practice. That does happen with persistence. That does happen with consistency. So the point I wanted to make here is, for you not to worry about perfection. I hear that a lot in my coaching from many people, but I'm not perfect, but my state is not always perfect. You guys, you don't need perfection. You're never going to be perfect 100%. We're all human. No one is ever 100% perfect, at least not 100% of the time. So don't worry about perfection. Perfection is not what determines your manifestation. What determines your manifestation is continuing to build that momentum, continuing to be consistent, and continuing to be persistent in that consistency and in building that momentum. This is ultimately what makes a huge difference in you going from someone who is trying to manifest their SP to someone who is a master manifestor who knows that they are going to have their SP, that they already have their SP. It's all about building momentum. It's all about maintaining that consistency and in being persistent in doing so. And to help you do that even more successfully, you want to start noticing even the smallest shifts in your inner state, in your outer reality, in your 3D. Even the tiniest, littlest movement has significance, you guys. Because remember what we've said in other videos, the 3D is always the last thing to change. So even if you're seeing the slightest movement in the 3D, that means that a lot of movement has already happened within you. It has already become dominant or dominant enough within you so that it can then get pushed out into your 3D. So any shifts, no matter how small, that you are feeling in your inner world, in your inner energy, or little shifts, little changes, little movement that you are perceiving in your 3D, you guys rejoice in them. Celebrate them. Realize that they are significant. Realize that they are part of your bridge. Realize that they are there to keep you going, to keep guiding you and to keep supporting you in your manifesting journey. You want to recognize these successes and these shifts, no matter how small, because this is what is going to keep you going. This is what is going to help you reframe what you're perceiving as failure or evidence of failure or evidence that things are not working, and to instead start perceiving your reality as, yes, things are happening for me. Yes, things are moving. Yes, this is happening. Yes, I'm seeing movement. Yes, things are shifting for me. Yes, things are changing for me. And yes, my manifestation is coming. And the last point I wanted to make today was this. One thing to remember that is also very, very important. Your SP manifestation, as well as every other manifestation, but let's focus on SP manifestation today. Your SP manifestation, you guys, is always moving forward. It's always in progress. It is never moving backwards. It is never stalled, even if it might seem like it is. It is never stuck. Things are always happening behind the scenes. Things are always progressing. Things are always moving. Things are always happening. And remember what we said earlier in this video? They're all happening in your favor. They're all happening to your advantage. They're all happening because the universe, your higher self, however you resonate with it, wants you to have your manifestation and is there for you to help you and to guide you and to support you. You're always moving forward. You're always taking steps forward, even at times when it feels like you might be stalling or things might not be moving. You are still moving forward because even no movement, even little breaks in movement are actually your preparation for springing forward once again. And as such, remember that there is always movement, there is always progress, your SP manifestation is always moving forward, and it's coming closer and closer and closer to you and to manifesting into your 3D reality. With all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.